wrestling for 75 years. It's really, I honestly, it's not even a topic to me.
Well, you know what? It's kind of out there now because there's I think her name is Aubrey St. John. She's very open.
Right.
She's very open about herself, and she's gotten back into wrestling again. Now she's training to become a wrestler. So I saw.
So listen, here's the deal. You said the key word, Kev. She's training. The
Right.
day she puts on a pair of boots and gets in and pays her dues, nobody's going to have a problem with her. And
I-
that's just what professional wrestling
I
is
agree with that. To me, is if you do what you got to do the right way, then nobody should say nothing. But this is the way our society is. People.
Listen, people are going to talk, and people are going to talk if you're gay. They're going to talk if you're straight. They're going to talk about it. I've seen wrestlers that are white do black gimmicks. I've seen black wrestlers come in and do racial gimmicks. The gimmick is a gimmick. That's what it's all about. You got to suspend reality for a little while. And the person that's doing the gimmick, and you're talking about Aubrey, and she's helped me at conventions and done a million things around my tables. One of the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
Yep.
I have friends in this business that are gay. There's superstars in the WWE right now that are gay, that are openly gay, that wrestled for me 5 years before they ever went anywhere. Who cares? I don't give a shit. If they're a nice person, at the end of the day, I could shake their hand, give them a hug, and send them a Christmas card at the end of the year. That's all I care about. And I have openly gay friends that hide themselves in this business because they're afraid of being discriminated against. And you know what? It's 2016. Come on, relax. I mean, the world is what it is. If you can't be accepted by a bunch of ignorant people, then you don't want to be accepted by that group of people to begin with.
No, I agree. Joe, I'm sure you agree. You know who I'm talking about. You've I think you met Aubrey at one of the conventions.
I don't know her. I don't know who you're talking
about. No? Well, we'll have to introduce you to her. I'm sure she'll be at Legends. She's awesome. She's a really nice girl. Like Ricky said, she helps out a lot of the tables. She's friend with Nyla Rose, who we're bringing in to your show in November. So she's awesome. She's a really nice girl, and now she's
one of Ricky Steamboat's favorite people.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that one. Anyway, moving on. Okay, current state independent wrestling as a whole. We'll stick with the Northeast, New York, New Jersey area. Ricky, let me get your feel first. You like you said, you've been doing this for a while. You've had a couple of companies. What do you feel that right now that independent wrestling's at its strongest?
That's a very hard question. If you want to say strongest, I'm going to say no, because nobody's drawing crowds like they did in the. And again, it just goes back to me being an older gentleman. When I got into professional wrestling, Dennis Corluzzo, Larry Sharp, these gentlemen were drawing high school crowds of 1,200 every Saturday night of a month. Okay, you'd go down to Elizabeth High School. You go to Lodi High School. My first show I ever promoted, November 24th, 1993, Lodi High School, 1,200 people. Bang! It didn't even have to work to draw 1,200. Now we've lowered our expectations and say 500 is an amazing crowd. It's a different era. It's a different society right now. There's not the disposable income in 2016 that there was in the 1990s. Mm-hmm. So is wrestling itself as strong? I think it's never been a bigger talent crop. I think it's never been as talented and as athletic of a sport as it is right now. Mm-hmm. But I would say it's definitely not the high point of attendance. But I think that the wrestling itself is better than it's ever been.
Okay, Joey from New York, how do you view it?
I agree with what he was saying about the bigger crowds today. I do believe that the wrestling is better today, but there's a lot of promotions out there that don't have this talent, and they're running with guys that probably have no training at all, and it shows. And I think that hurts the draws, because if I go see a horrible show, and then a good show comes in, I might say, I'm not going to see any more wrestling because I'm so turned off by this.
Right.
So I think that hurts independent wrestling, or any wrestling really for that matter.
No, I agree with that. There is a lot of shows out there that are pretty iffy, and it could put a bad taste in a fan's mouth, even when another.
And Kev, you know, what I really wanted to say earlier too is when I grew up with the commission in New Jersey, we drew better crowds than we draw now because all of the bullshit shows that are false advertising and main event guys that don't have insurance that I have to pay every show to have, those shows were eliminated because you had a commissioner at the front door who took the tax from the state off of every person who walked in. Everyone had to have a medical clearance, and there was, if you false advertised somebody and the commission was able to prove that that person was never booked, wrestlers were suspended in the state for having no shows, and promoters were suspended and licenses revoked for false promotion. And you know what? A lot of the nonsense that's out there today would be eliminated.
And didn't, if I remember correctly, didn't individual wrestlers have to have a New York State or a New Jersey State Athletic Commission ID card?
License. It was a license.
Yeah.
It was like even your ring announcer, the state would either assign you a ring announcer or you had to call them up for a licensed ring announcer, a licensed referee. And it also ensured that the guys were going to get paid because if you didn't have the money to pay your wrestlers, your license was suspended.
Right. Well, we know a couple of people.
Well, we have that. We have that in New York. Now we have the bond.
Yeah. Well, if I mean, we can sit here and name a handful of each of companies that would probably be out of business if they would lose their license if they didn't pay their people. But maybe now with a little bit of stiffer rules, these companies won't be able to afford to put on shows anymore, and they'll slowly start to disappear.
Right.
So we'll see what happens there. Now, we were just talking about the strong point about wrestling. Now, we said we all agree wrestling in general is very strong right now, especially the WWE has kind of incorporated again with the cruiserweights. We got to see a lot of these stars that I watched within the last 5 years wrestle on both your gentlemen's shows in the past. And I kind of felt proud myself as a fan because I've gone to your shows individually and I've seen these guys perform, and then I see them on TV and I feel proud. You guys must feel amazing.
Well, yeah. Well, look.
Let's go, Rick. You first.
Well, I mean, as you probably know, I stole the gimmick from New Japan, called the J Cup back in the early 2000s, and I would do a cruiserweight showcase every year. Patterned it after the Super J Cup in Japan, and it was the Jersey J Cup. And I actually was the first person in the state of New Jersey to use Daniel Bryan. First person on the East Coast outside of Washington to use Daniel Bryan. First person outside of Chicago to use CM Punk and Colt Cabana. And I used to bring in 16 names every year. And those guys went on to have amazing careers. AJ Styles, Reckless Youth, Low Key, Homicide, Jay Lethal. These are all guys that made event in my J Cup. And when these guys would make it to TV, it would just be like a father seeing their kid become successful. Yeah. And you wish everybody luck that works for you, because you know what? At the end of the day, there's guys here in this business that I despise, that I hate, and there's guys that I love like family. But you always want them to do well, because if you were ever part of this business, you know how hard they work to get to that summit, and the WWE is the summit. And there's no questioning that. So, yeah, you're like a proud father when you see stuff like that.
Okay. Joe?
No, I agree with what he's saying. I mean, right now we have, I don't know if he's let the cat out of the bag yet, but he has an NXT tryout coming up in January. One of my guys, and I don't say his name because he didn't say it. Mm-hmm. So, and we're hoping he makes it. I don't mind losing him if he's going to go there,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've actually seen one of your guys during an NXT tryout. I was up in Bethlehem, and he was there for a tryout, and talked to him for a little while.
I think that was TNA.
TNA at the Sands, and did very well. I mean, but that leads me to my next subject. As far as this will be our last subject, TNA, current state of TNA being sold, rebranded. WWE grabs the video encyclopedia of the TNA from the past. How do you feel about that? I mean, are you guys fans of the network? Do you feel like this was something that had to happen?
I'll defer in this one and go second because I have an opinion on this.
Okay, Joe.
Okay. I like the network for the old footage. I mean, I'm been a wrestling fan since 1985. I enjoy the old NWA, the old WWF, ECW into the 90s and stuff like that. I enjoy that. I enjoy the round tables that they used to do.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the document. I don't care if TNA is on there, if Ring of Honor is on there. I don't watch it anyway. I don't think they need to. Well, I don't think they need to buy Ring of Honor. Let there be other wrestling companies out there. As far as TNA, it's been such a disaster for the past few years. I think something just needs to be done. Maybe not necessarily Vince McMahon or WWE buying it. They need to get some stability there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And, I don't go on the network then.
Rick?
All right. Well, I'm a huge fan of the network. As a matter of fact, I probably watch 9 out of 10 wrestling shows I watch, including Raw and SmackDown. I watch 8 shows on the network, and then I'll catch a Raw and a SmackDown once a month just to keep it. But as far as TNA goes, again, it's a touchy subject for me. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but I ran TNA's first ever house show outside of the Nashville area when they first started wrestling on TV and doing their weekly pay-per-views and stuff. I ran shows for them at the Wayne PAL. And I was actually, it sold out building, 1,600 fans, completely sold out, couldn't put another body in the building, and completely stiffed by Dixie Carter and TNA. Left with the money, never cut the check, and 2 other business dealings I've had with TNA after that, both times went sour. And I have absolutely zero respect for her as an owner. I think it's another case of a very pretty woman with a very large checkbook, sitting around very handsome men with muscles. She ran the company as her own personal toy instead of a business, and she cost her family, tens of millions of dollars by being a carny mark.
Okay. And
this is bad for the business because there's a lot of guys there, guys that put their dues in TNA that killed themselves, like Beer Money and Abyss, and guys like Jay Lethal, and guys who went down there and just gave their heart to a company and killed it, and let's just say never left out of loyalty to TNA to get the big paydays in the WWE when they were offered, and it's documented that they were offered. And then this woman just pissed money away and cost these guys a chance to have something special. And WWE, of course, they wanted the library because there was great matches down there from the people I just mentioned, and others, 50, 60 others down there. The Teddy Harts and CM Punk's, debuted down there, and
right.
There's a beautiful library. But she just mismanaged the company to a point where they don't even have an office in Nashville anymore. I live here. They don't have an office. They're working out of a barn selling T-shirts on eBay, 3 for $20 to try to recoup money. And 10 years ago, you're talking about a multi-million-dollar company. It's a disgrace.
Yeah, that's definitely terrible. I mean, my thing is.
Maybe if they sell it, I can get paid.
So maybe you're on that long list. Some of these guys like Sting and Hogan, Dudley's, the Hardys, that all their video footage from TNA is now going to belong to WWE. Where I kind of feel now it's home. It's a complete library from beginning to end, and I think that's what people want to see. They were tired of people owning certain periods of wrestling's video, and it never got mentioned, or it wasn't allowed to be mentioned because you didn't own the right. Like everybody calls Ric Flair the 16-time champ when he's technically a 21-time champ, but they don't own the video footage for 5 years of it, 5 different of his title reigns. So WWE calls him the 16-time champ. To me, I think it's stupid. I think a guy's career. I think somebody should have total control over their career and anything that went with it. So, if they video you, I think you should have part ownership of owning that video of your career, beginning to end. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Oh, you sign your rights away. It's part of your contract, and the owner is the person taking the risk, and that's why they own the footage. Right. It's just like an indie show. I mean, you pay guys. I mean, I was lucky enough to have my CM Punk footage from when he wrestled in my J Cup air on his DVD, Best in the World, outtake number 13, Busted Skull. It's CM Punk getting his head broken in the JCW ring. And, that little rub on that DVD created a huge stir because people all of a sudden wanted to see the whole show. Mm-hmm. And I was able to sell a ton of those DVDs down the road.
Gotcha.
But that's because the owner of a company takes all the risk. Their money, their insurance, everything on those shows. So, and down the road, when they're able to make a little bit of extra money off that DVD, they're entitled to it, I believe.
Okay, I agree. How, Joe, yourself, you feel that way?